Orange juice, plus 25% since January 2025. Ground beef, plus 17%. Beef and veal, plus 12.1% year over year. Eggs, minus 33% from their peak. Same grocery run. Items moving in opposite directions at the exact same time. The number behind all of it, $170. Average weekly household grocery spend in 2026 per FMI. In 2020, $120, a $50 weekly gap. Over a full year, $2,600 more out of every household budget for the same food from the same store. Cumulative increase since 2020, 25.5%, tracked across 150,000 stores by Consumer Affairs. Prices spiked 10% in 2022 alone, then slowed, never reversed. The 25% is 5 years of compounding still sitting in the baseline, not this year's rate, the total. $170 per week in 2026, $120 in 2020. The store looks the same, the cart looks the same, the receipt does not. That $2,600 annual gap is the most concrete inflation number in every American's weekly life. Overall food inflation, 12 months ending March 2026, 2.7% per BLS April 10. That is the headline number. The cumulative 25.5% is what is actually in the receipt. Both are true. They measure different things. BLS tracks food in two buckets. Groceries, 1.9% year over year in March. Restaurants, 3.8%. That 1.9 point gap is why Americans are quietly shifting back to cooking at home without any policy announcement driving it. The data moves behavior before the headlines do. $120 per week in 2020. $170 in 2026. The line climbs every single year for 6 consecutive years. No dip, no correction. $2,600 more per year for the same weekly shop. That line is the average. Averages hide range. Some items are cheaper today than 12 months ago. Others are up double digits. Which side your cart lands on depends heavily on what you buy and where you buy it. Eggs, down 33% from their spring 2025 peak. Down 3.3% in March alone per BLS. The trend has turned. It does not erase the prior spike, but for families tracking weekly, this is the first meaningful relief in 2 years. Ground beef, plus 17% from January 2025. Beef and veal, plus 12.1% year over year per USDA ERS. The protein aisle moved opposite from eggs. Not every category corrects at the same time, or at all. If you want to see the real numbers behind the headlines, subscribe to the Data Desk and hit the bell so you never miss a breakdown. The item breakdown is half the story. The other half, where you live. Consumer Affairs tracked 150,000 stores and found grocery inflation varied by as much as 5% state to state, up to $500 more per year for a family of 4, depending entirely on their zip code. Part 2. The 5% state-to-state gap is not random. It tracks local labor costs, regional supply chain concentration, and income by zip code. The counterintuitive finding? The highest grocery inflation hit the lowest income zip codes hardest. Households earning $35,000 to $50,000 saw price increases equal to the wealthiest zip codes, with less purchasing power to absorb them. Groceries, plus 1.9% year over year. Restaurants, plus 3.8%. The restaurant segment is double the grocery rate. That 1.9 point gap is large enough to drive measurable behavioral change, and the FMI data shows it already has. Americans are not announcing they are eating at home more. They are just doing it. grocery traffic up, restaurant traffic down in lower income brackets. The price signal is working. The gap does not need to be explained. Consumers feel it at the register every week. Restaurants up 3.8% year over year in March. Labor costs and rent pass through to the menu faster than grocery shelves reprice. The same meal costs more at a table than at home, and that gap is widening. USDA projects food at home prices rise 2.4% for full year 2026, below the 20-year historical average of 2.6%. The relative relief is real. The cumulative 25.5% from 2020 through 2026 is not going anywhere. Philadelphia versus Richmond, 253 miles apart on I-95. Same national supply. Same 2.7% BLS headline. Philadelphia grocery inflation, plus 7.1% over the tracked period. Richmond, plus 2.3%. A family of 4 spending $9,000 per year paid $645 more in Philadelphia. The same family in Richmond paid $218 more. Location is the variable the national number never shows. Philadelphia, plus 7.1%. National average, plus 5.3%. San Diego, plus 3.3%. Richmond, plus 2.3%. Same supply chain. The bar that matters is your city's, and the national number tells you nothing about it. The gap traces to specific categories. Grains and pasta, up 3.7% in Philadelphia, down 2.5% in Richmond. Beverages, plus 6.1% in Philadelphia, under 1% in Richmond. Neither city's experience shows up in the 2.7% national figure. Philadelphia, plus 7.1%. Grains and beverages leading the increases. A family of 4 paid $645 more, nearly 3 times what the same family paid extra in Richmond for identical food categories. Richmond, plus 2.3%. Grains cheaper than a year ago. Beverages under 1%. The national average is not wrong, it is just irrelevant to both cities. Your zip code determines what you pay. Which categories are driving increases? Which are finally correcting? And what USDA's forward forecast says about where each one goes from here. Part 3. USDA's 2026 category forecast. 7 of 15 food at home categories growing faster than their 20-year average. 5 slower, 3 declining outright. Same store, same aisles. Completely different trajectories depending on which section of the cart you are filling. 2022, plus 10%, the spike year. 2023, plus 5%. 2024, plus 2.3%. 2025, plus 2.9%. 2026 forecast, plus 2.9%. The rate is stabilizing near historical norms. The cumulative 25.5% does not reverse, it holds. Stabilizing does not mean affordable. It means prices stop rising faster than usual. At 2.9% food inflation against 3.5% average wage growth in 2025, the math is finally moving in the right direction, for the first time since 2021. Fresh vegetables, up 2% in 2026, after dipping in 2025. Beef and veal, above historical average. Sugar and sweets, above average. Categories running hotter than normal track energy cost, feed cost, and supply chain concentration, per USDA ERS. Eggs, dairy, and fats and oils, all projected to decline in 2026, per USDA ERS. Pork, poultry, cereal, and bakery, all below historical average. The categories cooling are the ones where supply recovered or global commodity prices eased. The eat-at-home gap holds through the full year forecast. Groceries, plus 2.4% in 2026. Restaurants, plus 3.6%. USDA projects that gap persists into 2027. The shift toward home cooking is not a pandemic anomaly. At 2026 prices, cooking at home is structurally cheaper, and the data says households are already acting on that math. $170 per week now, $120 in 2020, plus 25.5% cumulative, $2,600 more per household per year. Those four numbers are what 6 years of food inflation produced, regardless of what the monthly rate says this week. The monthly rate makes headlines. The cumulative total is what matters at the register. Most Americans are living in the cumulative number, whether or not they know its name. 2.9% annual forecast is the best outlook since 2019. It still means prices are rising. At $170 per week, a 2.9% increase adds $256 to the annual household food bill by year end. Progress, not relief. $2,600 more per year than 2020. The data does not say who is responsible. It says what it costs. Every American household is paying it, whether they track the number or not. What item in your cart surprised you most? Up or down? Drop it in the comments, and we will see you in the next data file.